Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Hello. Hallo zusammen, willkommen zu unserer heutigen Session Frag die Englisch-Expertinnen. Und heute haben wir eine besondere Session, die Teil unserer Reihe ist, wo wir Menschen aus der englischsprachigen Welt interviewen. And today with us there's Aimee. And Aimee, can you tell us something about yourself?
Hi. Yes, so I'm from South Africa. I moved to Germany about 3.5 years ago. So also speak a little bit of German, but I grew up in Pretoria. I also lived in Stellenbosch, where all the wine comes from in South Africa. So you might have heard that name before. And then I also lived in Johannesburg, basically the last 8 years before moving to Germany.
Okay, nice. So you grew up in South Africa, mainly your whole life you were living there. Habt ihr mitbekommen, Aimee hat gesagt, dass sie auch ein bisschen Deutsch kann, aber wir versuchen natürlich trotzdem heute so viel Englisch wie möglich zu sprechen. Macht euch trotzdem keine Sorgen, wenn ihr etwas nicht versteht. Vielleicht konntet ihr schon heraushören, dass Aimees Akzent etwas anders ist als der, den ihr gewohnt seid, auch für meine Ohren. Eigentlich, Aimee, you're the first person. Yeah, I think you're the first person who I met who grew up in South Africa. So your
Okay.
accent is very new to my ears.
That
Yeah.
I've actually been I've heard that a couple of times that I'm the first South African that people meet.
Oh, really? Okay. So maybe you're also the first South African that the audience meets. Vielleicht ist Aimee die erste Person aus Südafrika, die ihr jemals getroffen habt. Schreibt es gerne in die Kommentare. Wir sind neugierig zu erfahren, wie viel ihr überhaupt über Südafrika wisst. Und genau, wie immer, keine Sorge, wenn ihr was nicht versteht. Bitte immer fragen, vor allem auch auf Englisch, damit Aimee es versteht und euch direkt antworten kann. Und damit wir wissen, was euch interessiert. Das ist ja das Ziel der ganzen Serie, dass ihr eure Fragen beantwortet bekommt über Südafrika, über die englische Sprache und dabei auch verschiedene Kulturen kennenlernt. And Aimee, I think you prepared some quiz questions for us.
I have. So the one you might already know, but South Africa is also described as the what nation? Is it the sunshine, rainbow, or wind nation?
Let me share this question with the audience. All right. What do you think? Was glaubt ihr? Is it the sunshine, rainbow, or the wind nation? Okay, we have one answer. Sigrid says it's A. A, rainbow, C. We have all options in the comments.
Oh, the answer?
Yes, tell us the answer, Aimee.
It is B, the rainbow nation.
The rainbow nation. I would have thought the sunshine nation because of the weather.
That would also work. C is probably the one that, I mean, there's places in South Africa where it is really windy, but in general, definitely more sunshine than wind.
Okay.
But Rainbow Nation because of the diversity in South Africa.
Also es geht eher um die Diversität der Kulturen als um die wetterlichen Bedingungen in dem Land. Super interesting. All right, what's the next question?
So the next question, we have an English word that sounds like a very common English word, robot, but in South Africa that means something else. Does it mean a street light, a computer, or a washing machine?
Okay, let me post this question.
Rather a traffic light, computer, or washing machine.
Okay, wir suchen die Bedeutung des Wortes Robot. Is it a street light? Wisst ihr, was ein Streetlight ist? Ein Licht auf der Straße, also eine
Also
Ampel.
eigentlich Ampel.
Genau, ja, sehr gut, Aimee.
Try my German as
Then,
well today.
yes. Ja, ihr könnt Aimee auch mit dem Deutschen helfen. Auch gut. Okay, is it a computer or a washing machine? I think you know what a washing machine is. Let's see what the audience says. A. We have some options. Some people saying A. B. Okay, let's have 5 more seconds. Okay, 5 seconds are over. Aimee, tell us the answer.
It is the street light, so a traffic light. And it gets really confusing for people when I try give them directions to turn right at the robot, and then they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay, habt ihr das verstanden? Ein Robot in South Africa ist nicht nur ein Roboter. Is it also a robot though?
Yeah.
Or is it only
Yeah.
street? Okay,
No,
es ist
also
auch
a
ein
normal
Roboter.
robot.
Okay, gut. Also ein Roboter, aber auch eine Ampel. Also wenn ihr Aimee jetzt treffen würdet und nach dem Weg fragt, hey, sorry, can you help me? How do I get to the pharmacy? What would you answer maybe?
You can go straight, and then at the second robot, you have to turn left, and then at the next robot, it'll be right there.
Okay, habt ihr schon gehört? Jetzt hat sie zweimal das Wort Roboter benutzt, Robot, aber sie meinte Streetlight. Also wundert euch nicht, wenn ihr nach den Richtungsanweisungen fragt und dann plötzlich Roboter in der Antwort hört. Cool.
That's a bit confusing in Germany.
Oh, did you say it in Germany too? Really?
People did not understand me.
She's here from the future.
And then they question, what kind of other robots do we have? Is our technology just not that good that we think a traffic light is an actual robot?
Okay, also Aimee hat sogar mal auf Deutsch gesagt, als sie hier war. Und die Leute waren natürlich etwas verwirrt, weil sie nicht wussten, welchen Roboter sie meint. Okay, cool. I think later you're also going to tell us about more South African English words. And I'm very curious about that. But first, I have another question that you told me.
So how many capital cities does South Africa have? 1, 2, or 3?
Okay, was denkt ihr? Wie viele Hauptstädte hat Südafrika? Kein Googeln. Mhm. Blümchenstrauß says it's C. Two. Eine. Okay. Aimee, how many capital cities are there?
We have 3.
3. Okay.
So one of them was Pretoria that I mentioned, where I grew up. The other one is Cape Town, and then the third one is lesser known, and people generally think it's Johannesburg. Fun fact, it's not. It's Bloemfontein, which is in the Free State, about 5 hours away from Johannesburg.
Mhm. Also Johannesburg ist keine der 3 Hauptstädte, wie viele von uns wahrscheinlich gedacht haben. Okay, super interesting. And now we also want to know what you think when you think about South Africa. What comes to your mind? Woran denkt ihr, wenn ihr das Wort Südafrika hört? Let's see what the audience thinks.
I'm also curious to know.
Probably also when you arrive to Germany, people asked you many questions, right?
Yes. And a lot of them exactly what you're saying in the comments. Of course, that's also what comes to mind for me. And Tafelberg is beautiful, that I can tell you.
Mm-hmm. So we have some political topics, for example, connected to Nelson Mandela. We have some nature, Big Five, some animals, gold and diamonds.
True.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very many different topics. I think there is some knowledge already about the country.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, Aimee, what makes South Africa special and unique?
Basically, it's summarizing everything that you've said in the comments. Two main things: the weather, of course. We really do have great weather compared to many other countries. We have really mild winters, which is nice. A lot of sunshine. But the other thing basically sums up everything else that you said: the diversity of all kinds. Specifically nature, the different landscapes. You can drive from one area to another in 3 hours and be in a completely different landscape. Every coast, like all the coastal areas along the coastline, they're all so different. We have beautiful mountain ranges, we have beautiful oceans, coasts, like I said. We also have a lot of vibrant cities. So somebody mentioned the townships. It's definitely part of the diversity and the culture. Johannesburg, specifically where I lived for a while before moving to Germany, is not a very it's not a very well-known tour. I mean, it's well-known, but not really for tourists.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you it's a really fun place to live. It's culturally very diverse. It's a very friendly place. Of course, some other things, but yeah, it's definitely a fun place to live. Then animals, the big five. We have three of the five fastest land animals in South Africa. Yeah, the whole safari experience. So I know I said a lot of things, but for me, that all gets summed up in diversity.
Mhm. Super interesting. Ich würde gerne wissen, ob ihr Fragen dazu habt, was Aimee gesagt hat. Sie hat natürlich jetzt viel erzählt und es ist ja auch vielleicht ein neuer Akzent für euch. Also habt ihr erstmal Fragen dazu? Irgendwas nicht verstanden? Schreibt es gerne rein und sie wiederholt es gerne. I actually have a question, Aimee. So you mentioned the big five animals. Also, I read it in the comments. Can you name these animals?
Yes, I think. Okay, so lion is the biggest one. Rhino, the leopard, not actually the cheetah, but the leopard. Buffalo, and I'm forgetting one. Maybe somebody from which one? Which one did I say? Lion, buffalo, leopard.
Yeah.
Lion. Well, lion I didn't mention. Yeah, lion. Sorry, that was the one I didn't mention. So
Giraffe.
but
Yes,
it is one of my
perfect,
favorite
Karina.
animals.
Nice.
I forgot
And
about the lion.
are they called Big Five because of their size, or is there another reason?
Yeah, predominantly, as far as I know.
Mhm. Okay, do you also have questions? Question to the audience. Also einmal an euch, das Publikum gerichtet. Habt ihr irgendwas nicht verstanden oder irgendwelche Fragen noch zu Aimees Erklärung über die Natur, die Tiere?
I'd be curious to know if anybody in the audience has been to South Africa.
Oh, yes. Have you been to South Africa before?
Can just raise an emoji, a hand.
Ja, genau, einfach eine Hand, ein Thumbs up.
I can answer the question about Johannesburg. So it's not a typical touristic place because it's not very beautiful. So if you go to South Africa, it's a lot of people go to Cape Town for the nature and the beauty, for Tafelberg, in my very Afrikaans accent. But a lot of people would rather just fly to Johannesburg to get to the Kruger National Park because that's closer. But not many people stay for like the whole Johannesburg experience. There are, of course, some people that do. It's very informative and very different to also go do something like a township tour to experience some local food. But for that reason, that there's not much else other than the cultural bits, a lot of people just skip it as their tourist destination, which I think some people should visit it. I personally really like it. So I would highly advise going to also see it at least for a couple of days. Special food and sports. Rugby is very much a South African favorite. Not personally my favorite sport, but it is one of the main sports in South Africa. Cricket is also big, and soccer is pretty big, but rugby is definitely the main one. Food we'll get to later. Food I'll answer later.
Good. And I will help the audience a little bit with what you said. Also, Aimee hat jetzt erst einmal erklärt, warum Johannesburg nicht das typische touristische Ziel ist. Und einer der Gründe ist, weil es vielleicht als Stadt nicht auf den ersten Blick schön ist, also durch die Architektur vielleicht oder einfach im Vergleich zu den Highlights der Natur in der Nähe nicht das erste Ziel der Touristen ist. Aber Aimee hat es empfohlen, auf jeden Fall mal zumindest ein paar Tage da zu verbringen, weil ich glaube, eher der Vibe und die Menschen das besonders machen, richtig?
Ja.
Also es ist eher dieses Leben, was man da wirklich mal erleben muss und nicht einfach nur mal angucken und genießen, sondern so richtig die Erfahrung machen, dabei zu sein und mittendrin. Und zum Thema Sport, das habt ihr wahrscheinlich verstanden. Welchen Sport hat sie genannt? Ja, Rugby, Cricket, Soccer, okay. Yes. Cool.
So there's just one question there. It's not a very expensive country to visit. If you're in Cape Town, it becomes a bit more expensive because it's touristic. But to eat and, for example, an Uber to get around is very cheap. So not the most expensive country to visit.
All right. So thank you for this. And yeah, we spoke a little bit already about what to see. You mentioned some famous places. Do you have any secret tips, maybe apart from living in Johannesburg?
So the one is close to Cape Town. It's basically, if you just from Cape Town side drive all the way up the west coast, it's basically just called West Coast. There's a lot of different towns. That's very, very beautiful to see, very tranquil and quiet. Then on the other side, closer to the southeast, is Transkei, which is also known as the Wild Coast. It was actually a separate state for a while, and it's predominantly Xhosa. And I'm saying that incorrectly because I can't do the click. So
Wow. Okay.
Oh, and there's one more. There's a small town called Clarence, very cute little town. And next to that, there's a very beautiful nature reserve called Golden Gate. And that's close to Lesotho, which is a different country within South Africa.
All right. So, I have two questions. Also, jetzt haben wir erstmal ein paar Secret-Tipps gehört. Die seht ihr auch in den Kommentaren, falls ihr dann doch mal dahin reisen möchtet. Und erstmal, you said mostly Cosa with a click, which I cannot produce. I would love to. Maybe I will try later. What exactly is that?
It's one of the tribes, one of the cultures. So it's one of the bigger ones. Nelson Mandela is Xhosa. So that's the easiest way to explain.
Okay, gut. Das heißt, eine der Kulturen, und Südafrika ist kulturell ein sehr, sehr, sehr reiches Land. Es gibt Hunderte von verschiedenen Kulturen, auch Sprachen. Also es ist so divers und interessant. Deswegen ist es vielleicht auch interessant, an dieser Stelle nochmal zu sagen für euch. Wir hören Aimee. Aimee speaks from the white South African perspective. And it's her experience, but maybe if you ask somebody else, wenn jemand anderen fragt, hört ihr ganz verschiedene Erfahrungen, ganz andere Sachen.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I would love to have a whole series on South Africa, actually, to cover all of this.
You would get a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different answers. If you ask the exact same questions, you would get a lot of different answers, apart from the factual questions, of course. But it's, yeah, like this is definitely the word that sums it up, is diversity.
And this is why we mentioned before the Rainbow Nation, die Regenbogennation, einfach weil es so viele verschiedene Farben und Geschmäcker und Identitäten, Kulturen, alles gibt. Aber gut, zumindest haben wir die Möglichkeit, mit dir zu sprechen, Aimee. Also wenigstens eine der vielen Meinungen. Das ist auf jeden Fall sehr schön. Und you said something else that sounded interesting to me. You said it's close to a different country, but within South Africa. What was that?
So we have two landlocked countries within South Africa. One is Lesotho, and the other one is what used to be known as Swaziland, but they recently, in the last couple of years, changed the name to Eswatini. And a fun fact, they changed the name because the king of Swaziland, or Eswatini, thought that Swaziland sounds too similar to Switzerland.
All right, okay. Many things, many new countries, new places. Let me share this with the audience. Could you repeat the fact about Switzerland again? Und jetzt hört gut zu, ob ihr das versteht. Das ist ganz lustig.
The Swaziland, or what used to be known as Swaziland, the king changed the name to Eswatini because he said that people would get confused and it sounds too similar to Switzerland.
Habt ihr verstanden, worum es geht? Der König dachte, Swaziland klänge wie ein anderes Land und hat es deswegen umbenennen lassen. Welches Land war es denn? He was right.
When I told this to Karina at first, I even got it mixed up. Accidentally said Swaziland instead of Switzerland.
Switzerland, exactly. Yes, that's actually funny. And there was one more comment I didn't read in time, but it was a fun fact. Did you know that not all the animals from the top 5 belong to the South Africa? They were just brought there because of the tourists.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
I mean, I know that a lot of these animals are also predominantly in East Africa, so Kenya, for example. But I did not actually know that some of them were brought there specifically.
Fun fact. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Danke fürs Teilen. Also nicht alle Tiere stammen auch ursprünglich, also nicht alle der Big 5 Tiere stammen ursprünglich aus Südafrika, hat Karina gerade mit uns geteilt. Yeah, okay. So back to Switzerland, no, back to South Africa. There was one more question before about food. What is your favorite South African food?
So it's a different word that you might not know. It's braai. And that's basically such a big part of South African culture. And it's basically just grilling or barbecuing. It's South Africa is quite meat heavy. I've personally become a lot more vegetarian since moving to Germany. But it's such a big part of South African culture is the culture of braai. And I mean, this could also be vegetables, and it doesn't have to be meat. But we have a public holiday that's technically Heritage Day, but informally it's known as Braai Day.
Okay, so could I say it's a barbecue day, or is this wrong? Yeah?
I mean, well, in South Africa, nobody would really know it, if you can say that here.
Okay, also für uns ist es quasi ein Grilltag, also wo gegrillt wird, ein öffentlicher Feiertag. Aber das sagen nur wir hier, damit wir uns miteinander verstehen. In South Africa it is, do you roll the R, brr, braai?
Yeah.
Really?
Braai.
Braai.
This is me. I roll the R's because I'm Afrikaans. In English, it'll be a braai.
Braai. Good. And now you said you're Afrikaans, and yeah, so this makes me wonder. You're speaking English to me, but you don't sound like it's your like it's a foreign language you learned. It sounds like your mother tongue, but then you said you're Afrikaans. And how is this language situation in South Africa?
So yeah, like I said, I'm Afrikaans, but most people in South Africa are actually bilingual. English is not the native language of most people in South Africa. There's only about 10% of South Africans whose native first language is English, but it is basically the most common language of everyday life. The media, government, everything is English, but about 80% of the population speaks something else as their first language. So for me, it's Afrikaans. Zulu is one of the biggest, which almost a quarter of the population speaks. But yeah, like I said, it's very common in South Africa to be bilingual. It's not a strange thing. It's not everybody's basically bilingual.
Okay, also in Südafrika, in Südafrika sind eigentlich fast alle Menschen bilingual, also es ist da quasi die Norm. Und Englisch wird eigentlich nur von 10% der Bevölkerung als erste Sprache gesprochen oder zu Hause gesprochen. Die anderen Menschen sprechen alle eine andere Sprache zu Hause und benutzen Englisch aber eher in öffentlich-rechtlichen Bereichen, zum Beispiel in den Medien hört man das. In der Schule, wie ist es da? Are most schools in English?
It depends on what area you're in. My school was Afrikaans, but we learned English as you had the choice to learn it as a first or a second language. You get schools where it's predominantly English, or other schools where it's also an African language, like Zulu.
Okay.
So that very much depends on where in the country you are.
Okay, also je nachdem, wo ihr in dem Land seid, sind auch die Schulen ganz anders von den Sprachen her und man kann wählen, ob sie vielleicht als erste Sprache Englisch haben oder Afrikaans oder Zulu. Das ist ganz unterschiedlich. Wow.
So most schools, even wherever you are in the country, most of the schools would also teach English as at least a second language. So never a third. So that's why everybody can speak English, basically.
Okay, so Englisch hat trotzdem eine wichtige Rolle, auch im Schulsystem, aber es ist nicht immer die erste Sprache und das ist ganz wichtig zu wissen, dass nicht alle Menschen da Englisch sprechen auch zu Hause, sondern dass es oft die zweite Sprache ist. And yeah, you said there's Zulu, but South Africa has a ton of official languages also, right?
Yes, that's maybe a good question for the audience. How many official languages do we have?
How many official languages are there in South Africa? Wisst ihr, wie viele offizielle Sprachen es in Südafrika gibt?
Okay, we have one guess. Okay. We'll give it a couple more guesses.
Ja. Was glaubt ihr? Ihr dürft einfach raten. Es ist nicht schlimm, wenn ihr daneben liegt. Wir haben 2, 9, 10. Wer bietet mehr?
Shall I give the answer?
Okay, tell us.
It is 11.
11.
We have 11 official languages. So I can name them, but I will just have to double check some of them because some, there's very few people that speak them, but still there's 11.
And only 2 of them are from the Indo-European language family.
Yes.
So Afrikaans and English. Yes. And the other 9 languages are from a different language family, from the Niger-Congo family. So African languages, and they are very different than the ones we know, very different than English. And this is why it's even more impressive that the population is mainly bilingual, and not even bilingual, mainly they speak many, many languages from different families. So it's very interesting to see how their brains can just cope with it so naturally, and they do code switching. Also sie switchen die Sprachen, je nachdem, in welchem Kontext sie sind. Das ist auf jeden Fall sehr beeindruckend.
It's also not common to, so I said most people are bilingual, but it's not common to hear of people that speak more than 4 languages. But like Karina said, the other African languages are from the same language family. So some of them are also very similar to one another. So that makes it easier, like, for example, with Roman languages, where they're more similar. So because I speak Afrikaans, I can also understand Dutch a little bit. So same concept.
Okay, also die zum Beispiel Englisch und Afrikaans ähneln sich vielleicht ein wenig, oder auch Afrikaans und Holländisch, Niederländisch, in der Struktur zumindest, teilweise im Vokabular, einfach weil die ähnliche Wurzeln oder die gleichen Wurzeln haben. Und dann natürlich unterschiedliche Einflüsse. Und genauso kann es bei den afrikanischen Sprachen sein, muss es aber nicht, denn die können auch komplett unterschiedlich sein.
So yeah, to answer the last comment, not always, but in some cases.
Can you always understand the other languages? Was the question, not always. And how is it for you, Aimee? How do you communicate with people in South Africa? Do you often meet people who speak English also, or do you sometimes get to situations where you cannot understand each other?
That's actually never happened, where there's really no understanding, because like I said, English is always the common language. I personally communicate the most in English in South Africa. Afrikaans actually only when I'm in Pretoria. When I'm Stellenbosch maybe as well, it's quite Afrikaans, but when I'm there, predominantly English.
Okay. Das heißt, Englisch bringt euch trotzdem weiter, auch wenn es nicht die erste Sprache der Menschen dort ist oder der meisten Menschen, könnt ihr die trotzdem als Kommunikationsmittel benutzen. Und yeah, I think since it's a second language for many people, or maybe even a third or fourth one, I think for everybody it's normal that we don't speak perfect English, right? So even when somebody from Germany comes to South Africa and speaks English, but it's not perfect, people would just be happy that they try to communicate. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the case for so many people. So many people don't speak English perfectly because it's not their mother tongue. So it's even if you speak just a little bit and with an accent, everybody will at least try and understand what you're saying. If you have a very strong accent, everybody would be very friendly and happy that you can just communicate.
Also sehr schön für euch, da auch mal die Erfahrung zu machen. Ist egal, wie ihr Englisch sprecht oder mit deutschem Akzent vielleicht oder mit einem anderen Akzent oder mit gebrochener Grammatik, wie auch immer. Es wird immer einfach nur wertgeschätzt, dass ihr es versucht, weil die Kommunikation das Hauptziel ist. That's really nice. And now we come to my favorite part of the interview, Aimee, because Aimee told me that she also learned another language in primary school, which is
Northern Sotho. And I will add the disclaimer that I had to Google this because I can't remember anything apart from the one word. But I will share some phrases with you. So,
okay.
Northern Sotho, to say hello, you say dumelang.
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 Sounds beautiful.
That you actually hear quite often. Then to ask, how are you? You just say, okay. Very simple, sounds like okay. But that actually translates to where are you? I did not know that. This was a new fact to me as well.
All right, wait, because I need to remember these words. So we have Dumelang in Northern Sotho. Also es ist kein Englisch, aber ihr hört es trotzdem oft in Südafrika. Und deswegen ist es trotzdem wert, das jetzt mal zu lernen. Finde ich auch super spannend. Also Dumelang, Dumelang. And the second one you said was?
Okay.
Okay, aber wie okay, oder? Nur, dass man
Yes,
es anders.
it actually translates to where are you?
Also es klingt wie okay, aber es ist where are you? Also wo bist du? You know, I love this because since I like traveling, many of my friends don't ask me how are you when they text me. They say, hi Karina, where are you? And this is so perfect. Yeah, this language reflects it.
That's nice. That's in this context, it's more literal for you, but yes.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. And you have another phrase for us?
The response to how are you to okay would be que hona wena okay.
Wow, que hona wena okay. Yeah, que hona wena okay.
Also, my pronunciation might not be perfect.
Okay. Okay. But now it's how are you? I just wanted to say okay. Okay, beautiful. I love it. So as you see now, you have some small words also in Northern Sotho.
Northern Sotho, yes.
Sotho, sorry. And back to English, you also have some words for us that you use in South African English. And maybe the audience can guess what they mean.
So the first one is the word jol. So that is technically an Afrikaans word, but it is very commonly used by English people as well, or used in English, let me rather say that. And I would like to hear what you think that means.
Was glaubt ihr, was bedeutet das? Jol. Can you maybe give an example?
On Friday, we had a lekker jol, and I used a different word in there as well that I will explain now.
Okay. Lekker jol. It could be like a tasty jam sandwich.
Okay, not quite, but
Wetter, Spaß, weather, day.
so Sigrid had the correct idea, Spaß. So we use
Ah,
that for any. It would be similar to a party. So any get together. So I explained previously the word braai, braai.
mhm,
Um, so you would go to a braai and have a jol, for example. And then I use the second word there, a lekker jol, is basically, we use it the same as the Dutch use it. So the word lekker in South African context does not just mean food. It doesn't mean just tasty food, but it is basically anything nice or cool or fun or good. So we use it very, very widely, and it's an Afrikaans word as well, but it's used very commonly in English as well.
mhm. All right. Did you go to a jol on Friday?
I did not actually. What did I do on Friday? I went to a Joel on Saturday.
Okay, good. Good. So we have jol, we have lekker, and we have another word. You know
So,
the word?
game. This is a very common English word that all of you, or most of you, would probably know. In South Africa, we use it in a different context as well as the
Mhm,
standard context. So, what do you think that means?
mhm. I'd say like a soccer game, football game, rugby game.
That is definitely one context that we do use it in. Yes.
Could you make a sentence with the other context?
Um, I'll give you a hint. Actually, no, I'll use
Okay.
it in a sentence. Um, Over the weekend, we saw some game. And I know this doesn't make it easier.
But we saw some game, you said, not
Yeah.
we saw a game. So some game already implies, oops, moving the laptop. There are many different things. Aha, somebody said, Michael said wild animals.
That is correct.
That is correct. Good job.
So you gave the right example, going on a game drive. So we don't, when we say safari, we don't specifically use as a South African, I would never really say safari unless I speak to foreigners. I would say either we're going to the bush, which was my next example.
Mhm,
But going to the bush basically means going on safari, and then going on a game drive is the actual word. So then we have big game and small game. So the big game would be the big five, so lions, elephants, and then small game we also refer to, and that basically means any buck or antelope. So springbok, the
mhm,
national animal, would be small game. So
mhm. Also
yeah,
Game, wenn ihr das Wort Game hört, es geht nicht nur um Fußball oder Rugby, es könnte auch um wilde Tiere gehen.
exactly.
Cool. Thank you so much, Aimee. Actually, we have come to the end of our session. I'd say we can answer one last question from the audience. If you are quick, you can write your question. So it's the first. Amy's gonna answer this, and then you're done with your English session for today. Habt ihr noch eine letzte Frage für Aimee? Yeah, maybe she can come back. Blümchenstrauß is sad that you're leaving.
That's actually when I tried to teach my nephews and my niece a Dutch German word. I taught them Blumenstrauß
Oh, really?
because I thought that was a nice word.
Oh, it's love from both sides then. Sorry. Okay, we have the first question that came here. Are there vegan options in restaurants or even vegan restaurants in the bigger cities?
Absolutely. Vegan, vegetarian options are all over. It's definitely not just a meat eating culture, of course, as well. But yes, there are definitely a lot of vegan, vegetarian options, especially in the bigger cities. Cape Town and Johannesburg, there would definitely not be a problem. Maybe I can answer the next question as well. Is it a good idea visiting South Africa? So I would always say yes. Politically, I won't go too deep into that. But it is, of course, you just have to be a little bit vigilant. It's
vigilant.
Yeah. But yeah, so just take care of make sure that you check your environment. But I would still say yes, it's still a good idea. Right now, it's a bit colder. Like I said, mild winters, but still summer would be nicer. Winter is good for safaris and game watching.
In our winter? Or
no, in our winter, because there's fewer watering holes, so you see all the animals at the same place, and it's not so green, so you can more easily spot the animals.
Okay, also jetzt bei uns im Sommer, in Südafrika im Winter, ist es zwar etwas kühler, aber trotzdem eine gute Zeit, um die wilden Tiere zu sehen. Und sicherheitstechnisch müsst ihr natürlich aufpassen, wo ihr seid, euch gut informieren, wie die Umgebung ist. Aber Aimee würde es trotzdem empfehlen, nach Südafrika zu reisen. Und ich habe auf jeden Fall Lust darauf bekommen. Mal gucken, wann ich die Möglichkeit dazu haben werde. Alright, thank you so much, Aimee. Danke euch allen auch fürs Mitmachen. Es hat sehr viel Spaß gemacht heute. Und ich habe auch eine gute Neuigkeit. Am 11. Juli haben wir das Interview mit Stefan, der dann Zeit für uns gefunden hat. Und dann erfahren wir über noch ein Land der englischsprachigen Welt. Also freut euch drauf. Ich freue mich auf jeden Fall drauf. Aimee wird uns vielleicht irgendwann mal besuchen, wenn ihr Lust darauf habt. Mal gucken, vielleicht schaffen wir es ja nochmal, eine extra Serie zu starten, wenn das Interesse von eurer Seite besteht. Und ja, dann erstmal eine schöne Woche euch allen. Wir sehen uns übernächste Woche, da nächste Woche die Session ausfällt.
And thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. It was nice to see the comments and the love for South Africa as well. And I hope that my love for South Africa also came through, because I really love my country.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Happy to share.
Bye. See you next week. Sorry. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.